Hello, and thank you for watching this ag forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. We've got an impressive cold front, the first real impressive cold front of the season here as we transition from summer into fall. Again, mid-70s, muggy 70s along and south of that front. We've got some 30s and sub-freezing temperatures back behind that across the Dakotas and the Canadian Prairie, slinking into the Rockies. Now, and along and south of that front, we've got some shower and storm activity stretching from parts of Nebraska into Iowa, northern Missouri, parts of the eastern Corn Belt here, Indiana, Illinois, picking up some of that shower and storm activity this morning as well. We'll flip it over and look at the radar. You can see the area of low pressure spinning away here across the Rockies. This low is going to cut off across the Rockies and just kind of sit here with that frontal boundary just kind of parked in this region. So it's going to be several days of rain opportunities from the Panhandle of Texas up into parts of the central Corn Belt here into Iowa, finally getting some good rain across this area and doing so without the widespread damaging winds like we saw with the derecho about a month ago. As we look at the forecast for precipitation here over the next week, again, a couple of inches possible across parts of Texas into Oklahoma, an inch and a half or so possible extending all the way into parts of the state of Iowa, getting into southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. A bit of a dry hole here in the precipitation, though, across parts of the Ohio River Valley getting into the eastern Corn Belt. So southern Illinois into central and southern Indiana, parts of northern Ohio. Chances for some precip there, but a little bit on the drier side, and then drier as you head well back to the northwest, parts of the Dakotas here on the drier side as well. Now, a winter medley here of advisories as we look at the hazards map from the National Weather Service across the western half of the U.S. You see the deep purples there for the freeze warnings, hard freeze warnings, freeze watches. We've got winter storm warnings in effect across parts of the Rockies here. And then as you head even off further to the west, across the western U.S., California, Nevada, getting up the coast of Oregon and Washington, a extreme fire weather risk today with some high winds and some extremely dry air coming across the Rockies there, also associated with this big trough dropping down out of Canada. Now, just a quick look at Colorado here, the advisories from the National Weather Service offices in the state of Colorado. 8 to 12 inches, in some cases 12 to 18 inches of snow possible in the Rockies. Of course, this is in the higher elevations. As you head down toward the Front Range, still a couple of inches of snow possible, especially across portions of northeastern Colorado. Now, along the front where we're talking about showers and storms, doing so without a lot in the way of severe weather. We don't even have a marginal risk on the severe weather outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center days 1, 2, and 3 here. We do have a general thunderstorm outlook, of course, accompanying that front, where we expect to see that thunderstorm activity, but no real focused area for severe weather. It's certainly possible to see a strong storm or two popping up each day here as we head through the week with that front in the area. We're just timing it out and showing you this. Look, today, the front positioned here from maybe the Panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma up through parts of central Illinois and northern Indiana. Shower and thunderstorm activity generally along and behind that as we bring Gulf moisture up and over the top of that frontal boundary, and then, of course, the winter weather impacts in the Rockies. As we head to Tuesday evening, the front doesn't make it that much further south. It's just kind of pivoting here, where we've got the southern end of that front still kind of diving in across the southern U.S., across New Mexico and Texas, but it's stalled out and at times kind of lifting across the eastern Corn Belt. So a bit of a pivot with the front here. We'll take it into Wednesday morning. Now this would be Thursday morning. The front still kind of slowly making its way off to the south and to the east, beginning to wash out at this point. The reason for that, well, the area of low pressure, it drops here, the upper level trough, and then it just cuts off and it begins to spin away across the Rockies. It doesn't finish the job, so to speak. You know, as we started watching this front begin to pop up on the medium and long range models, originally this trough was progressive and swept through the U.S., taking the cold front with it. And that's what brought the big chill to the central part of the country. We're talking about maybe a big cool down for the Midwest, and now this has become a Rockies event here and a Central Plains event. So again, this low just cuts off. The frontal boundary is then just left to kind of stall out across the midsection of the country. Showers and storms continuing along that, but as the front displaced from the upper level energy, again, that front begins to wash out. Eventually, the upper level low begins to meander back into the Central Plains, gets picked up by the main branch of the polar jet here across Canada, and then lifted across the Great Lakes as we get into the weekend. So the temperatures, again, that front slowly making its way off to the south and to the east. More of a pivot, though. You see it coming south across the Rockies, but then more stationary as you get toward the eastern Corn Belt. We'll just take this through the overnight tonight into the day on Wednesday, into Thursday. The front now washing out, the cooler air beginning to be modified by, again, we still have a high sun angle. It's still early September, so this air mass not going to have a lot of longevity without additional support and reinforcements coming in from the north. So again, take it into Friday now. The cutoff low beginning to sort of start to meander back across the U.S., across the northern U.S., and then beginning to sweep out of here as we get into the weekend. Now, at the same time, moisture, we'll look at the precipitable water forecast. Again, same thing as we head through the next few days, just bringing moisture up from the Gulf of Mexico up and over the top of that frontal boundary. So from the Texas Panhandle into the state of Iowa here, this is where we'll be seeing the potential for several days of rain and thunderstorm activity, and that potential to pick up across the south here several inches of rain, but as you head into the state of Iowa, perhaps an inch to an inch and a half with some locally heavier amounts possible. This will be the case until we get into the back half of the weekend then, and we'll see that upper level wave begin to be picked up by the main branch of the jet stream. We'll see this front finally begin to sweep out of here, bringing in some drier air to the Midwest. So now we'll take a look at the precipitation forecast from the high-resolution NAM model, and we're looking at the precipitation type forecast. Probably the first time I've shown this since probably the month of May, or at least early June, that we've been talking about any sort of winter weather precipitation across the Corn Belt. As we take it through the day today, we'll watch for scattered thunderstorms to once again develop along that frontal boundary from the Texas Panhandle through Oklahoma into Missouri, central Illinois, into northern portions of Indiana and Ohio as well. On the backside, more widespread light rain activity. And then, of course, with the cold air coming in, we'll look for that winter weather, the winter storm across the Rockies, the parts of Denver getting into the front range of northeast Colorado. Some snow even possible across the got broken there. The sandhills of Nebraska and western Nebraska as we get into the overnight and early tomorrow morning. And then we're just going to continue to see moisture running up and over the top of this front, rain from the Texas Panhandle into the state of Iowa as we head through the day on Wednesday. This is Wednesday afternoon, now Wednesday night, getting into Thursday morning. The high-resolution NAM ends here on Thursday afternoon. We can look at total precipitation here between now and noon on Thursday. And again, heaviest across Texas and Oklahoma, but a good area here across the high plains from Nebraska into Kansas, getting over to Iowa, northern Illinois, far southern Wisconsin, getting into southern Michigan. That's where we could see the chance for an inch to an inch and a half of precipitation. It's going to be much more hit or miss as you talk about central portions of Missouri, getting into central Illinois, central Indiana. This is where we're going to see scattered thunderstorm activity, so much more variability with the precipitation. There's some locally heavy rainfall possible. Some areas getting just totally missed here over the next 24 hours. And then as you head even further off to the south and to the east, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, Kentucky and Tennessee, the boot heel of Missouri getting down into the mid-south, and then the remainder here of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Alabama. This is where we're going to be a bit drier here with a subtle ridge in this region. So pumping moisture around that ridge up and over the top of the frontal boundary, again focusing the precipitation across this corridor. We'll step back, look a little longer range with the European model. Again, the winter storm over the next 24 to 48 hours. And then just several days of rain from the Texas Panhandle through the state of Iowa and northern Illinois here, with that moisture running up and over the top of that frontal boundary. So here's today. This is Wednesday now, Wednesday night, getting into Thursday. The front starting to wash out, losing some of that upper level support. Taking it into Friday, now the area of low pressure is slowly on the move from west to east across the northern plains into the Great Lakes, bringing scattered shower and storm chances with it here Friday. Getting into Saturday. And now Sunday, the front clears the area, high pressure on the backside, several days of dry weather across the Corn Belt as we head into early next week. So then we'll take a look at the total week 1 precipitation. Once again on the left, and then on the right, you're seeing the probability of 1 inch or more of rainfall or precipitation from the European ensemble model, just hammering home the point from central Texas into the central part of Oklahoma, up through Kansas, eastern Nebraska, the state of Iowa, southern Minnesota, and then parts of Wisconsin. That's where the heaviest rainfall threat exists, at times over into northern Illinois as well. Heading off to the south and to the east, much drier then along the Ohio River Valley down into the mid-south. Once again, heavy snow possible across the higher elevations of the Rockies here, across Wyoming and Colorado, with some accumulation even possible across the front range here. Western Nebraska, getting down into northeastern Colorado, still possible to see several inches of snow here again from this major winter storm and this very impressive cold front as it makes its way across the region. We'll have a couple days of strong winds to talk about, strong northerly winds on the backside of this front. They'll be strongest across the Panhandle region into western Kansas, state of Nebraska, even parts of Iowa, seeing those winds gusting at times 15 to 25 knots. Calming down a bit as we head into the day on Wednesday, and then quieter still as we head into Thursday. Again, that low sitting over the Rockies, going to begin to lose some of the intensity here along that front. And then here as we look at Thursday afternoon, much more calm as we talk about those winds across the midsection of the country. We'll look at our cold air mass parked across the Rockies as we head through the day today. Warmer out ahead of that. Again, the jet stream diving down, cutting off across the Rockies, with the strong flow then lifting across the eastern Corn Belt. We'll see that cool air mass begin to be modified as we head through the end of the week today, with much more seasonally appropriate temperatures and perhaps even some warmth returning across the Corn Belt as we head into the end of the weekend, into early next week. We'll look at those highs over the next several days then. We're looking at the high temperatures with the digits, and then the departure from average or temperature anomaly with the shading there. And again, just breaking the color bar, 40 degrees colder than average across the high plains, across the Rockies there, with those high temperatures in the 30s and 40s. As you head off to the east, the eastern Corn Belt, the Ohio River Valley, still in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. An incredible contrast. Look at that, 45 in Iowa, 88 here in Champaign, Illinois, where we're recording that video. So a temperature difference of over 40 degrees as you drive from central Illinois to central Iowa today. Very similar as we head through the day on Wednesday, the cooler air pivoting across parts of Texas and Oklahoma, starting to wash out and be modified, though, as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with 70s back on the table for everyone across the Corn Belt as we head into the weekend. We'll finish with a look at low temperatures over the next 2 days as the cold air peaks across the region. There's that white cutoff here where we go below freezing, and to see sub-freezing temperatures possible overnight tonight into the day tomorrow morning across North Dakota, northern Minnesota, then across western South Dakota, western Nebraska, much of the state of Colorado, and then even parts of the Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle, beginning to warm as we head into Wednesday night and Thursday, and then sub-freezing temperatures back off the table as we head into the weekend.